Hello everyone, I am Nabil Murad. The find and replace commands have been available in all Microsoft Office applications for decades. However, most clients are just using their very basic functionality. In this tutorial, I'll show you amazing examples of the find and replace commands. So let's dive in. In this worksheet, I have some transactions. In column A, I have a payment method. In column B, I have a region. And in column C, I have a sales amount. If I want to find all the transactions paid by MasterCard, then I'm going to use the find command, and I do that by going to the right side of the Home tab, where I click on the Find and Select, and from here I select Find. I can use the shortcut Control F. It's a universal shortcut. And here I'll be typing MasterCard, and then if I want to find one single occurrence at a time, I click on Find Next, but I want to find them all, so I'm going to click on Find All. You might have noticed that the box expanded and it says we found 36 occurrences of the MasterCard. Should you wish to replace them without going to the replace command, then you can expand this box to see the different occurrences, and I'm going to select all of them simultaneously by using the shortcut Control A. A stands for all, and you will note that all the occurrences of MasterCard have been selected in the document. Now I don't need this box anymore. I'm going to close it for now, and without clicking anymore, I'm going to replace it with a different payment method. Let's say cash. So I'm going to type CASH, and here I'm going to hit Control Enter, and I would have replaced every occurrence of MasterCard with the word cash. Let's go back to the top, Control Home. What if I want to find every occurrence of west and change it by north? And this time I'm going to use the find and replace command. I can go to the find and select, or I can use the shortcut Control H. By the way, the find and replace are in the same dialog box on two different tabs. So the find tab is to the left side and the replace tab is to the right side. Also note that using this dialog box always retains your last search. Because I was searching by MasterCard and I see it here. So before doing anything, I want to clear this option and I want to search by typing West. So I'm going to type West, and now look at this. I want to find every occurrence of West and replace it with a different option. I go to the Find tab first to show you what happens when I select Find All, because I'll bump into a little issue. When I click on Find All, and then I hit my shortcut Control A as I did before to select them in the document, you might have noticed already that not only it's selecting the West occurrences, but it's selecting the West and Midwest occurrences. How can I fix this? And to fix this problem, I'm going to click on Options for the dialog box to offer me more functionality. When I click on Option, look at this. I can either match case to get only West in lowercase, or I can select Match Entire Cell Contents, and that will fix the issue. Now if I select Find All another time and then I hit Control A, note that it's selecting only the West because I checked this box Match Entire Cell Contents. And now I'll go to the Replace dialog box after finding them, and I want to replace every occurrence of West with North. So I click on Replace All. Keep an eye on the document. This message box is telling me how many replacements have been done. We made 93 replacements. That's wonderful. That was the very basic functionality of the Find and Replace. Let's see some other situations. I'll go to the next worksheet, Formatting, and here I have multiple lists, and I do have some text formatted in a specific way. I would like to replace the formatting of this text wherever it exists in the worksheet, and I want to replace it with a different formatting. I prepared for my work, although I shouldn't necessarily be doing this, and I created a sample of the formatting by using the Format Painter. I typed find and I formatted it exactly like the text I want to format. And then I typed the word replace and I formatted it the way I want my final text to look like. And I'm going to use the find and replace functionality. I click in a blank cell and then I hit Ctrl H to open the find and replace dialog box. And because it retains my previous search term, that I'm going to clear that. I'm deleting the text west, I'm deleting the text north because I'm not replacing text, I'm just replacing format. If you don't see these options, by the way, that means you need to click on the options command because right now it's collapsed and like that it's expanded. What do you want to find? I want to find a certain formatting, so I click on the down arrow for format. I can describe the formatting by clicking on format. It will open the format cell dialog box, but look at that. It's much easier for me to select it with an eyedropper. So if I click on format, look at the mouse pointer is holding an eyedropper, so I'm going to click on the special type of formatting, and here is the preview in the same dialog box. Now I need to select the replace formatting. I can click on the down arrow for the format command for the replace and either describe the formatting, which is a little bit complicated, then much easier, create a sample as I did, click on choose format from cell, and then click on the destination formatting. Now I'm ready to replace all the formatting throughout the worksheet, or if I wish, throughout the workbook. I have two options here. I'm going to replace all, and look at that, it made 48 replacements, and I was able to replace the formatting. In my next example, I'm going to use the find and replace command within a formula or a function. I have a list of employees in column A, and then I have the quarterly sales for each employee, followed by the total sales for each employee. I created an if function, and this if function is comparing the total sales for each employee to a target in cell B1. If the employee hits the target, then we are giving a commission of 2% coming from cell G1. Otherwise, we are delivering the text no commission. Here is my function in the formula bar, and my manager tells me for those who didn't achieve the target, they need training, so I want to change the message for the value if false and make it needs training. If I had one single list, I would modify the first occurrence and copy my function down. But because this company has multiple plants, it's a multinational company, then we have the same setup so many times in the same worksheet, and I want to do the change in one single go. So I'm selecting any cell in the worksheet, and then I hit Control H to open the Find and Replace dialog box. As we mentioned before, it retained the previous values. The previous values were formatting, so if I click on the down pointing arrow for the Find format, I want to clear the Find format, and I'll do the same for the Replace. Now we are ready to use the dialog box in a different way. What would you like to find? I want to find the text no commission. What would you like to put instead? I want to replace it with needs training. I'm searching in the entire worksheet. Whether you search by column or by row, that doesn't make a difference, but here is the most important thing. I want to do the replacement in formulas. Don't forget to take the check away from match entire cell content, because actually I'm searching in a formula, so I'm going to take the check away, and now look what happens when I click on replace all. It made 45 replacement, and in all the setups I was able to replace the text and modify my formula. I hit OK, I close the dialog box, select any formula, put it in the edit mode, and look at that, it shows needs training. In my next example, I copied a formula from another workbook. And this formula looks at a website in column B, and it should be returning the domain name. So if I have www.officeinstructor.com, it will be returning just Office Instructor, the domain name. When I copied this formula and I pasted it, it's returning a reference error. And because the function is complicated, as you can see in the formula bar, it has multiple occurrences of this reference error. So I'm going simply to copy this error, the reference error, starting with the number sign, ref, and the exclamation mark, Control C to copy, and then I'm going to hit escape and click outside. I want to replace the reference error wherever it exists in the formula by the cell reference B1. And to do that, I open the Find and Replace dialog box, Control H, and here I don't want the previous text, I'm clearing it as we learned before. I'm clearing the previous text. I'll be pasting the reference error, Control V. And what would you like to put instead? I want to put the cell reference B2. I want to replace every occurrence, and I'm searching in formula, make sure that these boxes are not checked, and then when I hit replace all, and then I hit OK, look at that, it returned the domain name Office Instructor. I'm going to close the dialog box, and now I want to copy the formula down, and it's returning each individual domain name. In my next example, I'm going to use the find and replace command with dynamic arrays. In this example, I have three classes. For each class, I have a list of student names, the math, the science, the reading, and the total score. And what I would like to do is to use a combination of dynamic array functions that look at a specific class according to my selection in cell S1 and return the top 3 scores, the top 4 scores, or the top 5 scores. But this formula has a problem because instead of looking at the top 3, 4, 5 scores in cell V1, it's looking at a totally wrong cell, which is A1. And because A1 has been repeated so many times in this formula, then it's easier for me to fix it by using the find and replace command. If you want to learn how I created this beautiful functionality, you can watch my tutorial on creating the scores dashboard by using dynamic arrays. I'm going to put a link in the description below. Now let's do the replacement. I hit Ctrl H, clear the previous values, and I would like to replace every occurrence of cell A1 by cell V1. I'm looking at formulas, and I replace all. Automatically, my function is working, and then I close the find and replace dialog box. You can change the class, select class 2. These are the top 3. No, I want the top 4. Then I'm extracting that. Conditional formatting is applied. I encourage you to watch this tutorial by following the link in the description below. In my next example, I'm going to find and replace functions. I have a list of vehicle IDs, and for each day of the week, I have the mileage done by each vehicle. And then in column I have a total for the rows, and in row number 9, I have a total for the columns, and in cell I9, I have a total for the totals. I would like to replace all the summing by an average function to find out the average for each vehicle or the average for each day. And instead of changing these functions manually, especially if I have multiple lists, then in this case I'm going to use the find and replace. I can either click on the find and select command to the right side of the home tab or use the shortcut Ctrl H. I clear the dialog box. And because in any function I have an opening bracket, then in the find what box I'm going to type sum and then opening bracket. And I want to replace every occurrence of this function with average and then opening bracket. When I hit OK, keep an eye on the numbers. I'm going to hit Replace All. I'm searching in formulas and click on Replace All. Now I made 14 replacements. That's wonderful. And of course, because now I have an average, it will be better if I change the label total. So I'll be typing total, and I want to replace it with average. I just need to delete the opening bracket. Now if I hit replace all, look at the two labels. When I hit replace all, I have average, and we made two replacements, and that was very easy. Sometimes we use named ranges in calculations. Like in this example, I have in column A a list of sales rep, and then I have a sales amount in column B, and I calculated the commission for each sales rep in column C. To calculate the commission, we need to multiply the commission rate by the sales amount, but I do have two rate tables. I have rate table A and I have rate table B. Which one did I use? I click in the first formula. It's a VLOOKUP function that is using the range named rate A and is multiplying the result of the VLOOKUP function by the sales coming from column B. I do have two named ranges. I might have more. So if I click on the down pointing arrow for the name box, I select table rate A. Here it is. I can click another time and select rate B. This is the second table. Although I created all the calculations by using the named range rate A, my manager comes and tells me we want to change that and use the numbers in rate B named range. And that's very easy. I'm going to use the find and replace. I hit Ctrl H, and in the Find and Replace dialog box, I want to replace the named range rate A by the named range rate B. That's all what I need to do. I want to replace all, and we are looking at formulas. Let's expand the options, make sure that I'm looking in formulas, and now when I hit replace all, look at the commission amount changing because we are using different numbers and we made 19 replacement. You can use the find and replace to replace named ranges used in formulas and functions. It's very common that we copy and paste data from a website or we import the data from a website. Whatever the technique you use for bringing the data into Excel, you might have some text that appears in square brackets, and this text is superscript, which appears a little bit elevated than the regular text, and whether it's a reference or a copyright symbol or anything else, you might want to remove that text. And I'm going to use the find and replace command to do that. I hit Control H to open the find and replace command. In the Find and Replace dialog box, what would you like to replace? Let's have a look at the text. Well, the text is different in each one. The numbers are different, the reference is different, the copyright symbol might be different, but all of them have an opening bracket and then some text inside and a closing bracket. How to tell Excel I want to replace anything inside the square bracket? I'm going to use the wild character, the asterisk, the star. So I'll be typing a star and then a closing bracket. What does the star mean? The star is a replacement of any number of characters from 0 to infinity. So I want to replace the square brackets and anything inside and put instead a blank, so I'm not typing anything in the replace with. Keep an eye on the document. When I hit replace all the superscript text will disappear. So I hit replace all. It tells me we made 10 replacements, and that's wonderful. I close the message box and then close this dialog box. In some situations, you might need to search for text in comments and notes. If I go to the Review tab, then I have a group for comments and a group for notes. Comments are denoted with a red triangle in the upper right corner. But because I'm using Office 2019, then what used to be called comments, the red triangle, is now called notes. And it still has the same exact functionality. But the word comments now is used for back and forth communication when working collaboratively on a shared workbook. As I said, we can search for text in comments or notes. And when I hover over this cell, I can see my website www.c-how.ca. I do have another website as well, so when I hover over this cell, I can read my other website www.officeinstructor.com. I would like to find out the occurrences of the website c-how.ca, so I'm going to use the find command. Control F to open the find dialog box, and here I'm going to type www.c-how.ca, and then I want to expand the options, and I'll be searching in notes. I'm using the new term notes, and now I want to locate the text. I click on Find All. It looks like I have two occurrences. If I want to select the cells, I hit Control A. Now if I close the dialog box, here I have a note which shows c-how.ca, and here I have another one. You can also use emoji in your calculation. And using emoji can make your worksheet a lot more fun, a lot more attractive. And in order to access the emoji, you need to use a very special shortcut, which is the Windows key and the period. If you want to learn how to use shortcuts professionally in Excel without making any effort memorizing them, then I encourage you to watch this tutorial, the top 60 most useful shortcuts in Excel. And I'm going to put a link in the description below. Now to bring the emoji window, I hit Windows period. The emoji window opens, and I'm going to bring a little house. So I select this house, and then I close my window. By the way, if you are using Excel Online, these emoji icons will appear in color. In our example, we have a list of residents in a building. Some of the units are owned, some of the units are rental. I would like to replace the rental units by this emoji icon. So I start by bringing this emoji, and then I'm going to copy it, Control C to have it in memory, click outside, and now I use the Find and Replace dialog box. Control H to bring the Find and Replace dialog box. I'm looking for all the rental units, so I'll be typing rental, and I want to replace it with the emoji icon, so I paste it in the replace with dialog box, and then when I hit replace all, look at that, throughout the document it has been replaced. It says we made 55 replacements, and that's wonderful. Now let's close the find and replace dialog box, and let's go to the real magic. If you do lots of finding and replacing, then you can do that with a simple code. I provided this code in the description below so that you can copy the code and just paste it in your Visual Basic editor. All the instructions will be available in the description below. In this example, I have a list of clients who took the Microsoft Office Specialist certification. The Microsoft Office certification for 2019 has a code. So MO300, that corresponds to PowerPoint. MO201, that corresponds to Microsoft Office Specialist Excel Expert 2019. In this example, I would like to replace the code by the detailed name of the exam. I created a very simple code. The code will ask me, where would you like to make the replacement and what would you like to put instead? It will work like a VLOOKUP function that will look at the code and then extract whatever I want, but I can do it anywhere I want. I shouldn't necessarily create it for the entire column. I assign the shortcut Control-Shift-R, and here a dialog box pops up, and in this dialog box it's asking me, where would you like to make the replacement? So I select the range. I'm selecting just few values. This is where I want to make the replacement. I hit OK. It asks me, what would you like to replace it with? I'm selecting the two columns, the column to the left having the matching code and the column to the right having the detailed description. That's all what I need to do. I hit OK and I made the replacement. And here I used a very tricky way to bring it back to whatever I want, because the rule says whatever you do with a code or a macro cannot be undone. But with this tricky way, we are able to reverse it. I created the same column to the right. Now I'm going to make the replacement to the same range one more time. So I hit the shortcut Control-Shift-R. I'm bringing the same dialog box. It's asking me, where would you like to make the replacement? I select the range where I want to make the replacement. I hit OK. The second dialog box, it asks me the replace with range. This time I'm selecting the middle column and the rightmost. I hit OK, and I was able to bring back the original code.